If I told you that eating healthy could save you hundreds of thousands of dollars, would you even believe me? We've all heard people say, eating healthy is too expensive, but is that actually true, or is it just an excuse? What if I told you that by swapping just one meal a day, you could save over $365,000 in 30 years? Or that eating fast food regularly might be costing you more in hidden expenses than you ever realized? In this video, we're breaking down the real cost of food, not just what you pay at the register, but how it actually affects your wallet, your health, and even your future. Stick around because hopefully by the end, you will never look at a $10 Big Mac the same way again. First things first, let's tackle the obvious, which is fast food. You know, a McDonald's Big Mac meal costs around 10 bucks. Sounds convenient, right? But let's see what it really costs to make a burger at home. And here's the sort of breakdown. Obviously, you're not gonna get, just enough beef for a patty, but 6 pounds for a pound makes 4 patties, right? And we're talking about organic ground beef. Then we have whole wheat buns, which are gonna be relatively more healthier, hopefully, than the ones that they make at McDonald's. And you can get a pack of 8 for around 3 bucks. Lettuce, tomato, and onion, about $2 in total per burger. Condiments, which is, ketchup, mustard, whatever else you want, it actually equates to, maybe 25, 30 cents per serving. So when you take all that into account, that's roughly $2.75 to about $3 per burger when you're making it yourself. Even if you add a side of homemade sweet potato fries, you're still well under $5 per serving. Plus, you're controlling the ingredients, cutting out the preservative, bad oils, and adding more nutritional value. What about the time that it takes? Because that's the biggest headache that I see is everyone is always like, fast food is quick, it's easy, doesn't take any time. And look, cooking a burger at home might take 15, 20, even maybe 30 minutes if you have to cook for multiple people. But driving to McDonald's during busy lunch hour, easily 15 minutes. Not to mention gas and wear and tear on your car, and no one ever puts that into the equation. And here's the kicker. A homemade burger actually tastes better and doesn't leave you with that post-fast food slump. Now let's zoom out a little bit and compare average prices for a week's worth of meals. So things like breakfast, a $5 Starbucks muffin versus a 25-cent bowl of overnight oats. Of course, you're gonna have to buy these ingredients in bulk, but it's way healthier and saves you lots of money. For lunch, maybe you get a $12 Chipotle bowl, or maybe you make something at home for $3, like rice, beans, and veggies. You also have snacks, right? We all love our snacks, especially in America. $2 for a candy bar, maybe even $1.50. Or you can get an apple for $1 or less. And when you're shopping smart, you're not just saving money, you're feeding yourself more nutrient-dense foods. Organic veggies might cost a bit more upfront, but they're far cheaper per meal than regularly eating out. And so if we know that the monetary costs are now better, right? And even the time isn't necessarily saving you much time, if any at all, let's now talk about the long-term health costs, because this is where you're gonna pay the most amount of money. And in my opinion, this is sort of where things get kind of real. If you're eating fast food or processed junk regularly, it's not just your wallet taking a hit, it's your overall health, right? Studies show that even one fast food meal a day increases your risk of obesity, heart disease, and type 2 diabetes by 30 to 50%. Processed foods are packed with trans fats, adding sugars and sodium. It's a cocktail for long-term health complications. And you might think, okay, that's the worst part. But there's also the cost of healthcare, right? In America, healthcare isn't free, nor is it cheap. So even if you hack the system and live off of discounted fast food, the costs pile up. On average, elderly individuals spend over $6,000 annually on healthcare. And these are the people who have cheaper healthcare costs than someone like you and I in our 20s and 30s. And that $6,000 is out of pocket expenses. And a significant portion of these expenses are things that stem from chronic conditions linked to usually two things: diet and exercise. And usually diet being the number one thing. And look, don't just take my word for it. A 2023 study revealed that individuals with diet-related diseases incur 50% higher medical expenses compared to those who maintain a balanced diet. The price of poor nutrition doesn't just show up in prescriptions. It's in surgeries, hospital visits, and long-term care. Worse yet, healthcare costs are rising by about 5% per year, and I'm being conservative, while inflation increases the cost of living by anywhere from 3 to 4% a year, at least over the last few years. That means today's $6,000 becomes tomorrow's $13,000 in just 3 decades when compounded. So here's the harsh reality that we have to consider. A poor diet doesn't just cost you more money, it costs you years of your life. And not just years that you might have not lived, but even many years that you could have lived and been healthy. Studies from the National Institute of Aging shows that individuals with poor eating habits are more likely to experience a 10 to 15% shorter life expectancy. That is huge. Let's say you were gonna live 100 healthy years. 10 to 15% is 10 to 15 years off of your life expectancy. That is huge. So not only do you live less, but again, the quality of life diminishes as well due to chronic illnesses like arthritis, diabetes, cardiovascular issues. And in contrast, healthy individuals spend far less on medical costs over their lifetime. Research suggests that people with balanced diets spend an average of 30 to 50% less on healthcare annually, which translates to savings of tens of thousands of dollars over 30 years. Adjusted for inflation and rising healthcare costs, for example, a healthy person might spend $4,000 annually on healthcare in today's dollars, while an unhealthy counterpart spends $6,000 or more. And over 30 years, that $2,000 annual difference compounds into $150,000 saved when factoring inflation, rising costs, and not factoring in investing that into the stock market. So here is the overall wallet equation of healthy eating that will save you money. And this is also the punchline, I think, of this whole talk. And that is eating healthy isn't just about living longer, it's about living better, right? So when you choose organic, whole foods, you're investing in a few things. The first thing that you're most likely investing in is your overall energy levels. Less fatigue means higher productivity, means maybe even a happier life, right? Then you have fewer sick days. You know, you're not burning through PTO or racking up copays, which again leads to what? More emotional stability and a happier life once again. Then we have lower grocery bills. Planning meals and buying things in bulk because you know what you're gonna eat tomorrow and the next day and the next day always beats impulse fast food runs. And for example, let's say we swap out a $10 fast food habit for a $3 homemade meal, right? Just once a day. Start with me there. Don't even go into the breakfast, lunch, snacks, dinner, all of that. That $10 to $3 change is around $2,555 per year. Multiply that by 30 years, and now you've saved $76,000. That's pretty cool. And again, this is not including any of the savings from medical costs, but now imagine that $76,000 if you end up investing those savings in the stock market with an average annual return of 8%, not even 10%, which is what you'd probably get with the S&P 500. That $2,500 a year, compounded over 30 years, grows to over $365,000, all from cooking one meal a day at your home. But let's go further. What if you swapped out 3 meals a day? Now you're saving $7,000 annually. Invested at the same 8% return over 30 years, you'd have a staggering $1.1 million